great big family. And the truth, you know love is all we need.
We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones who make a brighter day. So let's start giving. There's a choice we're making. We're saving our own lives. It's true, we make a better day. Just you and me.
the volcano builds the dome, rebuilds the dome, and we'll see how long that takes and how the explosions will go as it relates to the dust component of it. You can imagine in St. Vincent, the people who would have had to be evacuated and who were now recycled. It's definitely not comfortable, but I know the people of St. Vincent is resilient and people in the Caribbean stand ready and to give assistance and to lend support in this time.
Okay. Sounds good.
WhatsApp audio.
Yeah, so this is where we're really at right now.
Okay.
So Barbados is so we can see the sun peeping out today.
Mm-hmm.
2 days ago it was a different scenario, Yeah.
Well, at least you guys don't have that heavy cement type of dust I see in St. Vincent as we're looking at the screen.
That's what happened to us.
You have the cement. You have the cement dust. Okay.
And we had some rain, and that makes it even more problematic. Because it hardens,
Yeah.
So yeah, man, we have the same dust. We got plenty dust here.
We call that cement, man.
Sunday. Today, like I said, the sun is coming out, and the last explosion, apparently the plume isn't traveling as far up to Barbados on this occasion. So we have a little release from the dust today.
That's good. That's good to know. That's good to know. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Well, we just wanted to get an update as to, what is happening, because we were supposed to link up with a gentleman out of St. Vincent this morning. So apparently, I'm figuring maybe, his service is not good in the area, because he sent me a text this morning that it was boiling up again,
Yeah, they had another explosion this morning.
Wow.
This morning.
So that mean that won't finish anytime soon.
Well, they're saying that they said it could continue over a number of weeks, over a couple of months, maybe for the rest of the year.
Okay.
It's not consistently, you know what I mean? But you know what I mean?
Yeah,
until it really settles down.
That is something else right there, so.
We can only hope for the best.
Yes,
so
yes. We have to just hope for the best.
People could get back to some semblance of normal. The biggest challenge, one of the challenges, not if it's the biggest, is the whole thing of water in St. Vincent. Because a lot of their water is above ground.
Yeah.
So the ashfall has, in a way, compromised their water system. So, is one of the major issues.
Oh, okay.
And all of this is happening within a COVID
time, yeah.
So distances, and so the challenge is not just a double. I would say a double, triple whammy.
Well, for those who really didn't want to put on no mask, we have to keep it on for a while.
WhatsApp audio.
Yeah.
We have to keep it on for a while, because that's what it is, right? Yeah. That's what it is. All right, Farrell, thank you very much for some updates. And
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so you stay safe, my brother.
Yeah, man. Give thanks.
All right, one love.
Run over me, shield and my defense. Cover me, cover me, cover me. cover me, cover me, cover me, oh, cover me. There is a change coming. Don't you feel the wind blowing? I can feel the chill, evil on the rise. Will you take that pill or stand firm in its will? Your money, your name will not be able to help you. No, no, no. Fame or lame won't be able to save you. You got to be covered under the blood of the Almighty.
Covered by Tasha Williams. We have with us Kenrol Daniels this morning out of St. Vincent. He's the man right in the thick of things. Morning, Ken.
Hey, good morning. Morning, one and all.
Yeah, I got Flavius here with me, and I have Max Wanet, my co-host.
Grand Rising, Ken, Grand Rising.
So what is really happening? I heard that this thing, you guys have a second eruption.
Yes. Actually, yesterday, when we spoke, I thought it had calmed down.
Yeah,
I was a bit relaxed. And things were still going well, But this morning, I was awakened just to hear that he's back on it again.
Oh, yeah?
And this time, the smoke this time seems to have been bigger.
A bigger one this time
than the last one.
Oh.
At least from my angle. But it seems to not hang around as long as it did.
That's
the last
not
time
good.
there.
Yeah, that's not good.
But we according to the reports, we have more of a pyroclastic flow, where the molten rocks are going down into the valley.
Okay.
And when it reaches the river, it heats the river up. That is the equivalent to, like, if you're doing welding and your steel is hot and you put that in the water to cool it, the water gets hot real fast.
Okay, yeah.
So that's the kind of effect. So the river was steaming as it goes along downstream. So it is still misbehaving, man. So we have to prepare again for more ash.
For more ash. Yeah, because I see you guys were trying to do some cleaning up yesterday for some people roof.
Yes.
You know? So, I mean, all of that was in vain.
Well, not really, because what we are advised to do is clean the ash as it falls.
As it falls, okay.
Because if the fresh ash falls on the stale ash, the stale ash becomes cement.
Okay.
Right.
So it's going to be hard to move. Yeah, it's going to be hard to move. Yeah.
And it is extremely heavy. I didn't really realize.
Right.
I didn't realize it until I actually hefted it. I was doing some cleaning and there's a drum outside. The cover of it had ash on it, and the ash was wet. So I lift the cover, thinking it was light, and I was surprised by the weight. So then I realized what it does to the houses.
Well, it could cause the roofs to cave in, don't it?
Yes, many houses are damaged that way. And the trees, there are a lot of broken trees. It's really heavy. It's really, really heavy.
Wow.
It's just like the same as cement.
Right.
It's the same as cement.
So let me ask. Go ahead. Because
I was saying we were just preparing to do some more cleaning.
Okay. Let me ask.
It takes a while before it falls.
Yeah. Let me ask you. Is everyone in that area, in that vicinity, evacuated already?
from the red zone, yes, but there will be a few people, a few hard-headed people who would not move.
Who's still
Oh,
there?
boy.
You know, there's always that kind of people. Even in a hurricane, there are folks who is
True,
not going to move.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so there's always someone there.
What about
But
the
basically, everything is moved out.
what about the water? You guys have been getting any water supply? I mean,
Well,
not from the water supply. I mean, drinking water, and water coming in from other countries. Are the
Yes, well,
business supermarket giving away any water and things like that?
Well, actually, the supply of water has been rationed, and water came back this morning, a bit slower, but it came for a couple of hours, and then they took it again. So we did get water, and there are some springs that are being useful at the moment. There are some springs that flow continuously 24/7 for 365 days per year.
Yeah.
It never stops.
Okay.
So there are just long line at the springs, you know. So I don't think we would die from the water.
Okay.
we would survive.
All right. I saw a video last night with this young lady. She said that the shelters are not properly equipped to handle the flow of people. Number one, they don't have no water. Two, they gave them some flour and some salt, no butter, no water to cook the food. So it's people in the community. People in the community is really cooking and supplying the shelter with food, water, you name it, all the necessity, baby wipes, pampers. They don't have no cuts. What is really happening in that situation, with that situation?
Well, to begin with, we never expected this at this moment. You know, so the shelter was designated in the wake of the threat of the volcano. So it's not like it was prepared months ago. It's a spontaneous preparation. Yes, we know we're supposed to be prepared, but the actual, physical shelter it's spontaneous. And the second thing is there are about 80 shelters.
80 shelters.
And it's a lot to manage.
Yeah.
And even though one shelter goes well, there will be one that did not go well. Because someone even told me about they got meals, the pillow without meat, and so on. So there will be things that are not going well. So I expect that. So there's lots of complaints.
Okay.
Whereas some others now, they don't have any complaints really. So it's a mixed bag.
Okay. I figure that some people might going have an uncomfortable situation at a shelter or two, while some might have comfort.
Yes.
And and food.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much for your update. We're going to keep in touch with you. Any little information you have coming out, you can send it to us by WhatsApp so we can use it. I got a text last night from George, and I posted up the video this morning. It's a video with We Are the World in it, but it have places that people in New York can drop off supplies that they can ship back home. Plus, on it have also where people can send, cash donation, whatever. So we're gonna pump it so that people can know where to go and do them drop off. Okay.
Yes, man, and also the produce, like the grown produce, would be badly affected.
Okay, I figure that too. Yeah. We're going to lose a lot of crops. Food
would really be important. At the moment, and I expect that the price might raise. In this season, I'm sure how it will work out. But when things are scarce, the price normally go up.
Yeah. So this is not scarcity at all. This is going to be ration. Let me ask you something. Have you heard anything about other countries sending in aids?
Yes, Trinidad is sending a lot of water.
Mm-hmm.
So is Saint Lucia. You see, all the islands are ready.
Are sending, yeah. What about the big countries then? England, USA. You guys hear anything from them?
I haven't heard from the big countries.
Yeah. Because I'm monitoring the news up here too, and I only hear it mentioned on the world news once. Anyway, we thank you very much for your update. And as I said, we're going to keep in touch with you. And anything you have that you want us to share, you can just drop it by us. All right, and you'll be safe. All right, stay safe.
Stay safe out there. Yeah, stay safe.
We are safe. We are safe. We're 15 miles away.
Beautiful.
All right. Okay. You have a good day, my brother. Yeah.
Blessings.
Right, bye.
Run over me, shield and my defense. Cover me, cover me, cover me. Cover me, cover me, cover me, oh, cover me. There is a change coming. Don't you feel the wind blowing? I can feel the chill, evil on the rise. Will you take that pill or stand firm in its will? Your money, your name will not be able to help you. No, no, no. Fame or lame won't be able to save you. You got to be covered under the blood of the Almighty. You got to be covered, 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 covered. You got to be covered, 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 covered under the blood of the Almighty. Covered under His blood. Nothing here is strange. Mankind is deranged. He said this in His word, or didn't you observe? Nation rise against nation, famine and pestilence all around me. Oh, what a shift. The world is in a ditch. Mothers against their daughters, fathers against their sons. Oh, watch out for the deceivers, proclaiming to be the Messiah. Wars, and rumors of war. Still there is only one way. You got to be covered, 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 covered. You got to be covered, 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 covered. You got to be covered, 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 covered. You got to be covered.
Cover the music of Tasha Williams, reaching out to all our brothers and sisters in St. Vincent and all the other islands in the Grenadines that are affected right now by this volcano, and also to our Jamaicans. Getting ready to link up with Mr. Fuller, Dr. Fuller.
You can kill this world, but my soul belongs to the Creator of me and you. Lord, I belong to you. I am covered. I am covered. Yeah, I am covered. When over me, shield and my defense. Cover me, cover me, cover me. Cover me, cover me, cover me, oh, cover. Hey, hey, hey. When over me, shield and my defense. Cover me, cover me, cover me. Cover me, cover me, cover me, oh, cover me. There is a change coming. Don't you feel the wind blowing? I can feel the chill, evil on the rise. Will you take that pill or stand firm in its will? Your money, your name will not be able to help you. No, no, no. Fame or lame won't be able to save you. You got to be covered under the blood of the Almighty.
Yes, yes, indeed. You got to be covered. Box 18.
Yes, I'm here, Franco. How are you guys doing over there?
Well, I'm doing good over here. Sunny Miami. And of course, sunny Florida.
Of course.
Because I forgot. So you up top.
That's right.
You up in pretty much close to Disneyland, Disney World.
Yeah, about 20 minutes away from Disney.
20 minutes, yeah. That must be fun.
Oh, yeah.
That must be fun. You don't have to drive
great.
too far for the entertainment.
Not at all. And I'm on this entertainment strip, actually, because I'm downtown Kissimmee. So I'm right there for everything. I mean, medieval times, Treasure Isle, all kind of things is out here. From here, go straight to Disney.
Okay. They have a section up there. I don't know if it's over Epcot. That they call something another. Like they have the Bob Marley stuff over there. They do the Bob Marley thing over there. Yeah, they have a Bob Marley. They have a Bob Marley presentation. Big thing, man. Like nice. The last time I was there, I tried to see it, but I couldn't get to see it, so I was upset. I haven't been back, and that's been a while. So, can you imagine?
Well, I want to look into it.
Yeah, man, check it out. They call it something another. I can't remember the name. People, if you don't listen or watch, and you hear me, I struggle for finding name. Let me know the name, please, because I don't go that place that much. Yeah, we're waiting on Professor Fuller. He will be joining us in a few minutes, and I know Professor Fuller. You saw the bio, right, Maxwell?
Yes, that's what I did. Yes, I did. I lived in Atlanta in Georgia, I should say, for 2 years. I was like an hour away, sometimes 20 minutes away from Atlanta. So yes, I'm familiar with the area, and yeah.
The thing that I love about it is the money, the black money. This man, it seems like he's been studying the money thing to a T.
What caught my eye was the award-winning 1 hour documentary film he did on the 18th century African Jamaican maroon leader Queen Nanny.
Yeah.
So I didn't know about that, and I have to see
Chief Annette.
I need to know where. Yes, maroon Chief Annette. Yeah, I need to know where this is, where I can see it.
Yeah. When Flavius first told me about this money, he said, you have this gentleman, he into this whole study of money, black money. You understand me? And I was like, whoa. Every country that he goes around, basically, the money with black people is on it. That's what he actually is involved in, the study of it.
Right.
And
Right.
I saw 3 notes out of Jamaica. The one with Nani, Sam Sharp, and Marcus
Right.
Garvey.
Okay.
And those notes are some small notes. You notice it? Because I think the Nani is a $500 bill.
Really?
I think, I'm not sure. Yes, Nani is a $500 bill.
Wow.
It should be a bigger bill, you know?
I agree with you totally.
Yeah, it should have been a
agree
bigger bill.
totally. Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yeah. But she's, there's no words to describe Queen Nanny. Just phenomenal creation.
Yeah.
That's all I can think of. She's something else.
I want to know more about
the
the Ghanaian national state, because when I was in school, I used to hear a lot about Kwame Nkrumah. And the reason being my draft teacher who teach me technical drawing, his name was Mr. Nkrumah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he told us how he got the name off of this African president by the name of Kwame Nkrumah. So at that time, it was all about blackness. I mean, in 1979, I think Bob Marley had just released an album named Uprising. And the songs on it, Redemption song, is on that album. And it was a turning point in Jamaica. And I said turning point based on the fact that I was still in high school, about to graduate. And there was an election coming up the next year, 1980. And the whole transition of it, the island itself was transformed. Yeah, basically transformed. Because everything was like war. So, so it was like war. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to, it should be time to get him again now. So let's try him again and see, if he can come in and tell us more about some money. So we're going to give you Black Skin this time. And another one from Tasha Williams.
Ba-ba-doo, ba-doo, ba-da-dee, da-dee, da-dee, da-ba-ba-doo, ba-da-doo. Ba-ba-doo, ba-doo, ba-da-dee, da-dee. Color of my eyes, color of my skin. Black is my kin, I ain't apologizing. Color of my eyes, color of my skin. If black is a sin, I ain't apologizing. Color of my eyes, color of my skin. Black is my kin, I ain't apologizing. Color of my eyes, color of my skin. If black is the sin, I ain't apologizing. Captured us from our homeland, sold us into a foreign land. What woe, what pain, what misery.
Dr. Harcourt Fuller is a Fulbright Global Scholar and Associate Professor of History in the Department of History at Georgia State University, GSU. He holds a PhD in International History and in Master of Science, with merit in History of International Relations from the London School of Economics, LSE, in addition to a BA in International Studies, and an MA in History from the City University of New York, CUNY. He has previously taught at Connecticut College, Emmanuel College, Florida International University, and was a visiting researcher at the African Studies Center and a visiting scholar in the African American Studies program at Boston University. As an internationally recognized scholar, Dr. Fuller has conducted research, given invited lectures, and presented conference papers in Africa, Europe, North and South America, and the Caribbean. Dr. Fuller's multidisciplinary research and teaching expertise include the socio-political, cultural, and economic history of West Africa, Ghana in particular, and the African diaspora in the Americas, particularly Jamaica, Peru, and Ecuador. His scholarship focuses on the history of resistance against slavery and colonialism, particularly through Maroneyage, as well as anti-colonial nationalism, transnationalism, symbolic nationalism, and the construction of national and ethno-national identity in the Afrikaner world. Dr. Fuller's publications include the monograph, Building the Ghanaian Nation-State, Kwame Nkrumah's Symbolic Nationalism, 2014, the co-edited book Money in Africa, 2009, as well as book chapters, and articles in peer-reviewed journals such as African Studies Quarterly, Nations and Nationalism, African Arts, Journal of Afrikaner Religions, and Canadian Journal of Latin American and Caribbean Studies. In addition to appearing as a commentator and discussant for documentaries, Dr. Fuller is the producer of the award-winning one-hour documentary film on the 18th century African-Jamaican Maroon leader, Queen Nanny, legendary Maroon chieftainess, 2015. He is also the creator of the traveling museum exhibition, Black Money, World Currencies featuring African and African diasporic history and cultures, in addition to a forthcoming Black Money exhibit soundtrack and documentary, www.blackmoneyexhibit.com. As a public scholar, Professor Fuller has contributed articles, op-eds, and/or quotes to media outlets and periodicals such as the New York Times, Christian Science Monitor, Huffington Post, Le Monde de France, Chronicle of Higher Education, diverse issues in higher education, The Conversation, Motto, Time Magazine, BBC Mundo, Deutsche Welle, Germany's international broadcaster, Canadian Broadcasting, CBC, United Nations Radio, and Web TV. The Real Stuff podcast with Flavius, Max Winnett, and Franco welcome Dr. Fuller.
Greetings, sir. Greetings.
Welcome, Prof.
Yes, welcome, Dr. Fuller. Nice to meet you.
Okay, we are, before let me let you know, Doctor, we have three of us this morning: Flavius, Max Winnett, and myself. So,
all right.
This is just a chat session. We want you to feel free to talk. Tell us things about money, the documentary, and Nanny, all of these things about black money. Whatever you can tell us. Just relax and talk, like we're chit-chat on the corner.
All right, yeah, man.
And then from time to time, we will have a question or two we're going to throw at you. Nothing to really knock you out.
All right.
All right. So, I'm going to start with Max Winnett first. Go ahead, Max Winnett.
Greetings again, Dr. Fuller. It's nice to meet you.
Likewise, and thanks for the intro. I appreciate it. And I appreciate being on the show, and thanks to Flavius and all that. We haven't met in person yet, but seems like we know each other for a long time. So thanks again.
Gladly. I'm sorry I missed you. I lived in Georgia for 2 years. Sorry I missed you while I was there. But I don't even know where to start. You're just a bevy of wonderfulness. So the first thing that really jumped out at me is really what brought you to do the documentary on Queen Nanny?
Well, a couple of things. I mean, I am a Maroon. I'm one of the descendants of the Moortown Maroons, which Moortown used to be called New Nanny Town. So we are the descendants of Queen Nanny. And that's, my father, I was born in Kingston, and, my father he used to tell us a lot about the Maroons and who Queen Nanny is and that sort of stuff. When I migrated and became an academic, I was, going around the world, particularly Latin America and Africa, and studying the history of Africans and people of African descent in a variety of historical and social contexts. And I think what has happened in my career over the last couple of years is that I realized that one of the best ways to convey information about history is through film and music.
Mm-hmm.
And so I find that over the last couple of years, when I show films in my classes, for example, I saw that students react differently to it. When I play music or when I have, actual people, practitioners of whatever culture come to my classes. And so that's when I decided that I was going to go into film. And so I teamed up with Jamaican-born director Roy T. Anderson, and we, came together. He's also a Marine, and we made film.
And not to come off the subject because it's still there. I told Franco, when I saw your picture, it was astounding to me because my family, we're also Maroons. My dad, you look exactly like my father. It's crazy. It's wow.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yes, it's very deep for me to hear you and to hear the work you've done regarding the Maroons. Wow.
It's a reincarnation. It's a reincarnation of your dad.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing. Sometimes I can't even look at the picture. Wow.
You have to send me a picture of your dad as well.
I will definitely. The only difference is the lips. Or you would be his son. You look so much like him. Yes. Interesting. Beautiful work. Flavius, you have anything you would like to speak to the doctor about? Okay, we don't have Flavius. Franco?
Yes, Flavius is there, but I think he's on mute. Flavius? Anyway, doctor.
I'm here.
Okay. You want to go, Flavius? Go ahead now.
Well, if he could just start at the beginning and tell us a little more about himself and how he got to where he is now.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, you know what? The funny thing is, I was born on a street in an area called 2 Miles, and that street was Crescent Road, right? So that's kind of between Waltham Park Road and Spanish Town Road in the Kingston 13 area. I would say that I had a wonderful childhood in that community. Although we were, I guess, economically poor, right? But I was a very active child. I mean, run up and down, go bird bush, go hunt bird. In fact, I got the nickname Professor since I was a child because I used to just go outside, and if I found bits of wood or scrap metal, I would make things that no one had ever made in the community. So, for example, we made a piano once out of scrap metal and wood, and actually played it. It actually played.
What?
I think I was the first boy in the community to make a skate that had a braking system on it.
Oh.
Remember back then, these kids probably don't know nowadays, but back then we had to make a skate out of board, right?
Yeah.
Wood, right? Oh, yeah. And I studied the braking mechanism of cars, and then I applied it to a skate.
So the wheel have to be rubber wheel, I think, to put on that skate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what we did with the skate was we went to I guess we could call them junkyard, and we would have a sledgehammer, would knock out the bearings.
Yes.
When rubber tires, we cut them and then put them on the wheel. So I used to be very creative, and people called me Professor, but it's kind of weird, if you will, because I was more of an inventor than a professor. I guess the name is kind of prophetic. So, I grew up there with my mother and father and, my 7 siblings. There were 8 of us, so we came from a large family. And then, the older ones migrated first, and then the younger ones eventually. But I had a wonderful, childhood. I went to Greenwich Primary School, and I had to, come home for lunch most days because my parents couldn't afford to give us lunch money to buy lunch while we were going to school. And then when I went to, secondary school, I went to Trenchtown Comprehensive High School. And actually, I was, a couple of weeks ago, I was on a radio program in Jamaica, and I recalled how, the secondary school system in Jamaica, you have the elite schools and the non-elite schools, right? Mm-hmm. What they call the traditional schools. And, of course, I applied for the Wolmer's, the Calabar, the, KC, and I didn't get into any of them. And I got into Trenchtown Comprehensive High School. And, to be honest, I was so upset, start bawling everything because, who wants to go to a school with such a bad boy reputation and all of that kind of stuff. Right? I was devastated because...
And look how close stats was to you. Look how close it was to stats.
Yeah, that would have been a thing, But that's I wasn't good enough to get into stats. But, that's why we really have to be careful about perceptions because that experience at Trenchtown, in hindsight, if I had to do it all over again, I would have chosen Trenchtown. But at the time, I didn't know it. Yeah. And I was thanks to my late uncle, Ezra Robinson, who pulled me aside and said, listen, there's a lot of great, successful people come out of Trenchtown. And, when we're not even talking about the Jamaica's greatest musicians, from Tony Wheeler to Bob Marley to Alton Ellis, to all of them, right? Right. But he says, listen, you didn't get into Wolmer's and whatnot and Calabar and, just apply yourself. What I liked about Trenchtown was the fact that the academics were quite great. But you also learned electrical, woodworking, there was sewing, and so I think by the time you graduated, you were well rounded. They even had a small farm, and I actually remember fondly that they used to grow bananas there and even chicken. So I used to have some teachers that I guess we would call wood boy teachers. Yeah. Right. Meaning they were good at what they did, but once you and them became close, sometimes they take you to the farm and cook some banana with some curry chicken back or something. That kind of extracurricular bonding and stuff. So, so I had a good upbringing. Now, of course, both in 2 Miles and in Trenchtown, as time went on, things got bad because of crime and guns, and that was a part of the experience too. Now, that part of my experience wasn't pretty, but overall, I had a good upbringing.
Yeah, man. I was saying this to Max one this morning. Said that in 1979, that time I was in stats, and one of the turning point, I could call it a turning point for me, was when Bob Marley put out Uprising, the album Uprising came out. And with all the violence going on at that time, I was worried because the next year I'm graduating from high school and I'm like, what the hell am I going out there to do? Because it's like Jamaica turned upside down at the time. But what you said, you wouldn't trade Trenchtown if you have to do it all over again. I said the same thing about stats because there was I had gotten into Wolmer's, the school you wanted to go, but I never feel comfortable based on a number of things, and just out of the blues, boom, I got into St. Andrew Technical just like that. I basically walk in by just a picture. Somebody had a picture of me, and the principal get a hold of it, and I end up at Stats. And the things that I learned, based on what you're saying, is basically the same thing. You know, certain school was meant to be for you. The ones that I wanted to go KC so bad I couldn't go KC, but George's. And as close as I was to people from St. George's, I still couldn't go George's. So what was meant to be for you, you know, it was meant to be. You can't change it. That's the destiny.
What is for you can be unfor you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Remember that.
That's the one for you.
That's right.
Yeah. Now, I was going to say, you know, the funny thing is that Stats actually, from my recollection, Stats was that school where it was this perfect merger of great academics and also the practical, right? Because wasn't Stats like where you learn like auto mechanic or something, right?
Yeah, you do all of that. Auto mechanic, building, electrical, plumbing, you know, welding, and then you have the academic part. You do actually do both of them. You know, you get to the both of them.
It was seen as that kind of school. Now, just kind of fast forwarding, you know, life is really, again, ironic because nowadays in 2021, I mean, and you know, in the last, I would say, couple of years, governments have been pushing, including this country, community colleges where you go and you can learn, again, refrigeration, auto mechanic, all of that kind of stuff. Because what people realize is that a lot of times you graduate with college degrees and you're not able to make enough money as the people who have the
the technical skills. Yeah,
that's right.
Skills, yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
Yep, that's true. They were doing that here too. They used to have these. They used to call them trade schools, and they took out all the trade schools, and now it's a problem.
Yeah.
We need those exactly.
And I've heard, if I may, Trenchtown is now a polytechnic school. So in other words, Trenchtown is now almost like that because they teach music there. I think they have you can be trained to be a chef, I'm understanding. And they up to a polytechnic.
Okay.
And actually, you know, one of the things that I'm hoping to do, and in fact, I spoke to the music teacher at Trenchtown, because I still do some work in Trenchtown. So the Maroon album that I recorded we recorded it in 2015 and put it out in 2016. That entire album, which is called Granny Nanny Como, and that was done by the Granny Nanny Cultural Group from Moortown. We actually recorded that entire album at a community studio in Trenchtown. And, I still have a connection. You know, one of my good friends, Lloyd, whenever I go to Jamaica to play with Power, you know, he's one of the, he's at the studio. And so I still engage with them. And part of what I'm doing right now with my project is I'm hoping to come to Jamaica sometime this year to launch the Black Money Exhibit album. And I'm also reaching out to partners and sponsors to see if I can get equipment and stuff for some causes, musical causes in Trenchtown and also in some of the Maroon community.
Wonderful, my brother, wonderful. Before we go into the money part, I wanna play a track off of the album, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we're gonna play this one, track 1. Take it away.
Granny Nanny como, Granny Nanny como, you bring girl, you bring boy, come back to the rubber, you bring girl, you bring boy, Granny Nanny como, Granny Nanny come, you come down a boy, you bring girl, you bring boy, Granny Nanny como. Granny Nanny come in, bring girl, bring boy, you come back to the rubber, bring girl, bring boy, Granny Nanny come on, Granny Nanny come in, bring girl, bring boy, you come back to the
Yes, Granny Nanny, come home. Are those some kids?
No, actually, that group, the song you're hearing is the title track of the album, which is called Running and Como. That's the main title. And the subtitle of the album is Jamaican Maroon Comanche, and Kumina music and other oral traditions. So the young lady that the lead singer, she goes by Hope. Her name is Hope. At the time when we recorded this, she was about 13 years old. So that was in 2015. And she's the drumming and the other instruments you hear on the track are
that's the
from other
abeng.
members of the team. Yes, no, the abeng, yes. With Maroons, anything we do, we have to bless up the ancestors, summon the ancestors, and all of that. So the abeng, when we arranged the album, we said we wanted to start with the abeng, which is, of course, the signaling horn of the Maroons and things of that nature. Yep.
Yeah, man, I like it. I was listening some tracks off it, So this is going to publish, or is it published yet?
Oh yeah, this is available on all musical platforms, iTunes, Spotify, Amazon. The group actually toured the United States in 2016, the eastern parts of the U.S. I brought them to, they were in Atlanta for about a month, and then they went to Maryland, Washington, D.C., New York, and Florida. And performed and things of that nature, and gave workshops and stuff. And so it was a really glorious time.
Yeah, Atlanta is the Mecca state or the Mecca city for all of those, black culture thing. Yeah. Mecca city, right? So let me move on to, because I was looking at your bio and it's very fascinating, and I clicked the www and it take me to the black money, because Flavors was giving me some insight on the black money. And black money matters, and
that's right.
You seems to be be documenting all countries that black people are on the face of the money. Am I right?
Yeah. That's the main. I would say that's the main part of it. I think. What happened again? Back to Jamaica. I was about 9 years old. I was, living on Crescent Road at the time. I was playing under a neighbor's cellar. They used to call him cellar under them house. And I found this wallet, and the wallet had a number of obsolete Jamaican banknotes. One of which was the paper 50 cents. You have actually on the screen. You have me holding that paper 50 cents with Marcus Garvey on it. And I was examining the notes, and I was fascinated by who were these individuals on the money. And I was so excited, I ran out, and the first adult I saw, I showed him the wallet and the banknotes, and I never saw them again up to this day.
Him say, "You're mine." Him say to you, I bet him say, "Mine." Give me, let me find out who's.
Literally from them, just set them and walk off. And of course, that's the style. I couldn't say anything. Wow, right. Really upset and crying and telling my parents and all of that. But when I migrated to the Bronx, the first thing I did was I was determined that I was going to find that banknote. And I was fortunate because where I moved in the Bronx in Parkchester. Every Saturday there was a march, like a street market where people come out and street vendors and sell all kinds of stuff. And there was a guy, Hispanic guy, who sold banknotes from all over the world. So when I saw him, I went over and I was looking at the banknotes, obviously trying to find the Garvey banknote. But in looking at the banknotes, I saw banknotes from Argentina and Brazil and Israel and countries and all over. And the thing was that they were actually cheap. 20 for a quarter, 50 cents, $1. Sometimes you might pay $3, $4. Sometimes.
So wait,
even
those
$10.
were what note? What note? $1 note?
Oh no! What I'm saying is that these are foreign banknotes.
Yeah,
that
I know,
this guy
but what were they in small bills?
U.S. dollars, right? Because this was in the bank. So what I'm saying is that how I started my collection was I started buying notes from this guy, and buying notes from all over the world. And I think I bought notes based on aesthetics and also based on if I saw something that looked, historical and, all of that stuff. And so that's what got me into the hobby, which is called numismatics. And so I became a numismatist and I joined the professional associations such as the American Numismatic Association, the International Banknote Society. So they have professional organizations of collectors globally.
Yeah.
And everybody specializes. Some people might specialize in only collecting banknotes from the 1920s in Canada. Others might specialize in Caribbean banknotes. And so I didn't really specialize because I was like a world guy. I just bought banknotes, and what started happening was that I started noticing certain patterns on money because I was collecting from everywhere. And so I noticed that, they would have national heroes. They were in certain parts of the world, military figures. Then maybe you had historical sites. Right, so I started noticing these kinds of patterns on them, and I started categorizing the banknotes that I had. And what ended up happening, and this is by the way, this is before the internet was popular.
Yeah.
So I used to have a library card, and so I was going to college at the time, so I would get into my encyclopedias and I would be it turns out that what I was writing, and I didn't know it at the time, I was writing my PhD dissertation because in studying the banknotes I was writing down notes about who was on there, what place and this event, and it actually was evolving into a book. And then a friend of mine, long story short, she said to me once, she said, you should go to the London School of Economics to pursue this as a PhD. First of all, I was like, England, what? I had, no desire to go there or anything. I have, of course, like most Jamaican Caribbean families, we have family there and stuff. And then I hadn't heard of the London School of Economics. I only knew Cambridge and Oxford and those, right? So after doing some more research, I saw that the London School of Economics was one of the few places that I found that because, when people hear the word, the name of the university, and the full name is the London School of Economics and Political Science, people might think that you go there to study economics, and it is definitely a top school for economics, but they have history and anthropology and all that. So I did a PhD in international history, and what I did was I did a master's and a PhD, and what I did was I merged the study of money with the study of history, and specifically African history. So I did my thesis and then my dissertation on money and anti-colonial nationalism in Ghana, and that's eventually what I did. So in other words, you can say that it was a chance encounter with a banknote featuring the image of Garvey that led me to getting a PhD from the LSE and studying money.
What a story, my brother. A big story, that big story. No, have you gone?
Did you no?
All right, go through, Philip.
Did you find the note?
Yes, I actually did. But what's funny? I actually found the note probably 5 years ago, and I've been in this country for almost 30 years. So I found it 5 years ago because I got so deep into the hobby, I kind of, in a sense, stopped looking, because even when I traveled, and I did a lot of travels to South America because I when I was at the City University of New York, City College of New York. I went to Peru and Ecuador and the Dominican Republic. So I got a lot into Latin American banknotes. And it was just after a very long time, I came back around to finding the banknotes. And then I, of course, when I launched the Black Money exhibit in 2018, everything came together and I put out this exhibition that specifically focused on the representation of Africans and people of African descent and Black history more broadly on banknotes. So I took probably over 300 notes from my collection and focused on this topic, and I called it the Black Money exhibit, and we launched it in 2018 in Atlanta.
What is it take up on the exhibition?
Can you repeat the question?
How has the exhibition gone?
Yeah,
as
okay.
Far
so
as viewership.
Yeah, so a bit of background. One of the reasons why I decided to do it was in 2016, of course, the U.S., governments changed their currencies for a variety of reasons. Security reason, or in the case of many countries in the global south, sometimes because of inflation, and they need a larger banknote. So like in Jamaica, of course, the $500 bill was the largest banknote for a while. And by large, I'm talking about the value. And then they went to $1,000 bill and then 5,000. Right? So governments changed it. So the U.S. was changing its banknote. And they had decided, because of the Women on 20s campaign, that they would select a woman. And Harriet Tubman was eventually selected. Now, there was a lot of debate in the U.S. about putting a woman on a banknote and a Black person. And I said, well, actually, there are lots of women on banknotes in other countries, and there are lots of Black people on banknotes. Of course, in Black majority and mainly Black ruled countries, not exclusively, but mainly. And so that's when I decided that I was going to go ahead and put together this exhibition, because I wanted to show the public some of these currencies. So we launched it in 2018 at the Auburn Avenue Research Library on African American culture and history, which is in Atlanta, downtown Atlanta. I was fortunate enough to just have folks who just really liked the project and they volunteered. So Tracy Morrell is an African American curator, and she's a top curator in Atlanta. She came on board to curate. Irvin Wheeler is an African American. Actually, he was my former student, and he came on board and designed what we call the money tree. Because the central concept that I came up with was, there's this idea that money does not grow on trees. And we said, well, for the Black Money exhibit, money does grow on trees. So we came up with the idea of modeling these 8-foot high by 8-foot wide money trees. We modeled them off the baobab trees, which are these are the iconic trees from Africa. And we created these installations, these money trees, and then we framed the banknotes, and I came up with 10 categories, going from African civilizations through Africana art, enslavement and freedom, colonialism, independence, economic development, Black women on money, Black music and dance, children's money exhibit, and then the modern Africana world. So I kind of, as a professor, when you teach African or Black history or African diaspora history, you kind of go from the ancient to the modern to the current, and all of the major historical points in between. So that's how I organized the exhibition, and I had banknotes that reflected each one of those 10 themes. So when we launched it, it was absolutely great. I would say we probably had over the 4 months, it was up at the Auburn Avenue Research Library. We got a couple thousand people because even when we weren't there, teachers would bring their classes, and you had conventions that were there, and the exhibition was part of the African Studies Association conference, which was held in Atlanta, and we had a guest book, and people just wrote wonderful things. They never knew that there was so many black people on money. They didn't know some of these historical characters. They didn't know Garvey was on money. They didn't know Mandela was on money. They discovered, civilizations, whether we're talking about Great Zimbabwe or the Swahili Coast in Africa or the Asante Empire or ancient Nubia or ancient Egypt. They saw steel drums from Trinidad on banknotes. They saw the maypole dance from banknotes in Honduras. I mean, they saw people farming and, scientists on Ethiopian banknotes. I mean, we just got such a push. So once that happened and we wrapped it up, then our next task was and still is, our next task was that we launched the website, which is blackmoneyexhibit.com, and of course the social handles at Black Money Exhibit, Instagram, etc. And we set out to raise funds to then have the exhibition travel nationally and internationally. During that time, I had a trip to London when I had gotten a Fulbright Global Scholar Award, and so I went to Jamaica and I went to the UK, and I met with folks at the Black Cultural Archives in Brixton, and we spoke about bringing it there, and even the Canadian consulate in Atlanta, former Consul General Nadia Theodore. She sponsored the closing reception for the exhibition. And so we've had a lot of support. We've had other volunteers, Myrna Anderson Fuller, no relation, came on board. Lots of people, students, former museum officials, etc. So right now where we are working, in the post-COVID world next year, to have the exhibition travel throughout the States and internationally. We have added a soundtrack that we're working on, and we've started releasing music from that. We have a documentary that we're working on, which is called Black Women on Money, where we're going to feature about 5 or 6 Black women who have appeared on money in Ghana, Jamaica, Haiti, Brazil, Canada, and we are going to, feature Harriet Tubman, even though she's not yet on U.S. currency, but we're going to feature that as well. So that's really where the project is at the moment.
Will that ever be possible? Because they're still debating as to whether or not they're going to put her on the $20 bill.
I think it will happen. It depends on, from my perspective, 2 things. One is it takes time to redesign a currency and then get all the machinery, the banks, the technology, and everything ready to put it out. I think if Biden wins a second term, or if the Democrats, shall we say, win a second term, I think it'll happen. I don't think it'll happen in his first term. And he has said through his press secretary that he's committed to doing it, and I think he will. I don't think it'll happen in the first term because, again, these things are slow moving. The last time the U.S. $100 bill was redesigned, I think it took about 10 years to actually put it out, and that's because there was a change in administration, and there's a lot of other things that go into it. But I think it'll eventually happen.
Okay. Would you say that Jamaica money needs some new stuff on it now, because we always see on these money every time a different money come out is faces. What about, like, events, track and field, reggae, things like that we can put on it.
Well, this is what I would say. First of all, I from an economic standpoint, I would hope that Jamaica would not need another denomination, because we're at $5,000, a $5,000 bill right now. You don't want to go higher, because that's a bad sign. That shows that your currency is getting weaker, where you have to print a $2,000 bill, for example.
Yeah.
But with that said, there can be a revamping. But Jamaican currency, actually, if you look at them, for example, some of the banknotes, even the $500 bill with Nani, if you look at the back of the banknote, it has an image of an old map of Port Royal. The former $5 bill had an image of the old Parliament building downtown. The $5,000 bill has an image on the back of Highway 2000, right? So there are these things, but if we're talking about the main vignette, the main feature on the front, one could imagine, for example, when the $1,000 bill was being issued, I remember that, of course, the public weighed in as to who they would want to see on the banknote, and Bob Marley was a candidate. In fact, I actually have a gleaner. I cut out an image that an artist designed of a $1,000 bill with Bob Marley, but of course, Michael Manley was given that honor. So I guess for me, I would say if Jamaica were going to redesign, of course, I would throw a fit if they remove Nani. So we're not even going to go there. But anyone else, within reason, I think I would say Bob Marley.
I have never seen the 5,000 bill yet.
Well, it's hard. I mean,
I still haven't seen it yet. I heard about it, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I mean, it's because it's a high value note. Sometimes if you have too many of it, I mean, at least when I go to Jamaica, I try not to have it because
why? It's hard for change.
And you go down in your pocket and you come
up
out,
with a 5,000. It's a wash.
Yeah, you want to have some smaller denomination. Yeah,
you're right.
But I think what I would say is, I would put Bob Marley on there. I think with respect to track and field, I would put something more generic to represent track and field, because my own personal view is that people who are honored on banknotes should not be currently living. I think you need to have historical distance between them when you put them on there. So that's the only reason why I just said
that. Have any leaders in Africa put themselves on any money while they were in power?
Absolutely. In fact, not only in Africa. I mean, let me put it to you this way. It is the tradition of most countries to put dead people, dead heroes and heroes on money. Right, but there are exceptions. Of course, Queen Elizabeth II is the person that has been most featured on money in all of human history, because she's over the British Empire, which is now the Commonwealth, and while she, Jamaica had Queen Elizabeth on its currency right up to 1979. Remember, we got in 1962. She's been on currency in, I think, Fiji and Canada and a lot of different, Australia, a lot of different places, right? So she, in other words, and I wanted to point out that because of the examples I'm going to give you next, and I don't want people to get the impression that, it's just African countries. So she is queen, and of course she's on British currency and British postage stamps and all of that kind of stuff. So that is the exception to the rule, I would say, in Western countries where, for example, the British monarch is on banknotes. The Prime Minister of Britain or any other country, those people, or Canada, they wouldn't be on money. But it's the monarch because she's seen more as a symbol.
Mm-hmm.
But in many African countries, in Ghana, with Kwame Nkrumah, in Kenya, with Jomo Kenyatta, in Tanzania, Julius Nyerere, even in Cuba, Cuban money, there are some very unique banknotes from a historical perspective. There was a Cuban banknote. It's not in circulation anymore, but it had an image of Fidel Castro and some of the other leaders of the 1959 Cuban Revolution. They're on like a truck, basically rolling into Havana, which is when they, took the country over from Batista, right? So people use, banknotes to send these types of messages. So yeah, there are several countries in Asia as well, and again in Latin America where the current leader put themselves on money.
Okay, I see. Well, one last question before I go. Like His Majesty, he's not on any money in Ethiopia.
Yes, and thanks for bringing that up. Actually, Ethiopia is perhaps the first Tanzania, Julius Nyerere, even in Cuba, Cuban money, there are some very unique banknotes from a historical sort of in profile where you see His Majesty on the left first, and then Castro and some of the other leaders of his wife is next to him.
Yeah.
Right. So in 1933, and that's very early for banknotes because banknotes in many places didn't really become that popular until after the Second World War, and this is from the 1933. And His Majesty's on other Ethiopian banknotes, the bir, which is the currency.
Okay, that's good.
And coins too. I didn't really speak a lot about coins. I do collect coins, but not as much as banknotes. But there are many leaders who are on coins as well.
Okay. Maxwell, final
Yes, I'm
question
here.
going to you before we leave.
Well, I was curious as far as the coins and the collecting of the money. Because I have a few myself. What are you planning on doing with them? I mean, what should I do with them? I just collect them, but
what I do again, because I've turned mine into a teaching tool, an exhibition with all these. With the, I'm writing a book about it. I use them as a teaching tool through the exhibition, through the soundtrack. But what I do is, I have two daughters, and sometimes if I have a coin in my hand or something, or a banknote, I can say, ask them who's this person, and just use it as sort of a historical flashcard to say, this is Queen Nanny, or this is Marcus Garvey, or this is Mandela, and this is what they did, and so I collect it for the historical value and not necessarily the economic value. And just like postal coins too, they can be very good sort of tools to teach people, particularly children, about world history and geography and also economics, money and stuff. Just very quickly, if I may, my daughter, for example, Kenya, sometimes she asks me, she said, "Daddy, how much is 500 Jamaican dollars?" And then I have to the exchange rate, and then she would ask me, then why don't we have a $500 bill or $1,000 bill in circulation in the U.S.? And so you have to explain economics and exchange rates and that sort of stuff. So if we look at money as something that's just yes, we all want to have it. We all wish we had more. But it's also beyond the financial aspect of money, the historical, the cultural, the sociological. They're also important.
Right. That's a good idea. I'm going to do that with the ones that I have. So they're just sitting there. So I'm going to take them out and put them in some type of display. That's a good idea and share it. Yeah. Thanks for that.
All right. Thank you very much, Professor. Doctor, because you get the professorship before you even become a professor. That's good. I love that. I love the story, and I love the fact that we know something about money and black money. That it really matters, coins, and all of them things there as well. And
what you say to children, what you call children, just when you mention that matters. If you call a child professor, they might just grow up to be a professor. And if you call a child a crook or a no good or you're not come out to nothing like your poopa or whatnot, that will have an impact. So we have to be careful what we call and what we say to children and to each other.
Absolutely right about that too.
Very true.
Thank you very much for taking time out of your schedule and for spending some time with us. And we look forward to have you again on our program. Maybe we can bring you back in June, a little bit before the Maroon Festival. That will be in June. Yeah, we'd love to have you during that time or before the festival.
Yes, and next time I'd love to talk to you about my Catterwood label that we're doing and some work up in the Rio Grande Valley. So thanks again. Big up to my New York family, big up to my Jamaican family, the whole Caribbean, Flavius, everybody, Max One, everybody, all around, just big up and thanks again.
Yeah, man, thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
All right.
Beautiful.
We're going to get back Flavius and then we get out of here. You have a good day, Doc, and Professor, and take care of yourself.
Yes, likewise.
All right, stay safe.
That's it.
Train a come, my road train a come. Standing on the train a come, standing on the train a come. You know see the train a come, you know see the train a come. Cardelli train a come, Friction the train a come, Durrell the train a come, Annette the train a come, Nissan the train a come, Oak the train a come, Minette the train a come, Celine the train a come, Ilya the train a come, Ozzy the train a come, Tony the train a come, Harcourt the train a come, Harcourt the train a come, Lai the train a come, Daniel the train a come, Maru train a come, Ashanti the train a come, Akwaba the train a come, Akan the train a come, Waku the train a come, Kojo the train a come, Nikipu the train a come, Yakupu the train a come, Yana see the train a come, Motong train a come, here on the train a come, Junction the train a come, Junction the train a come, Nani the train a come, Nikipu the train a come, Waba the train a come, Shanti the train a come, Fanti the train a come, Nani 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 the train a come, Yellow see the train a come, Yellow see the train a come, Aquaba the train a come, Nada the train a come, Durrell the train a come, Friction the train a come, Annette the train a come, the train a come, Franklin the train a come, Who up the train a come, Minette the train a come, Celine the train a come, Ozzy the train a come, Tony the train a come, Tony the train a come, here on the train a come, Junkie on the train a come, you know see the train a come, Moto train a come, Maru 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 train a come, Moto train a come, Nani train a come, Nani train a come, Nani train a come, Durrell train a come, Friction the train a come, Friction the train a come.
Consider this. The average person takes 8,000 to 10,000 steps each day. That adds up to approximately 115,000 miles in a typical lifetime.
Yes. Consider that. Max Juanette.
Breathe deeply, peculiarly into this precious moment. Breathe into the manifestation of the good day you are responsible to create today.
Yes. And so, our guest this morning was none other than Professor Harcourt Fuller. And also we had a link up with a poet, dub poet in Barbados, I. Farrell. Everybody know him as Winston Farrell originally, a.k.a. I. Farrell. And from St. Vincent this morning, we also had a link up with Kenrol Daniels. And so we thank all our viewers, our guests this morning for participating, those who take time out as well to spend some time with us. We ask that you join us tomorrow when we do it all over again. Before we get out of here, any announcement you guys have to make? Flavius, do you have any announcement?
Not really, no.
All right, Max Juanette.
I have nothing today except to tell everyone to be safe, stay blessed, remember to love each other, be kind to each other. Remember, we're all here in this thing called life together. Namaste and one love.
All right. And so, before we get out of here, before we give you the words from Queen Lubafo in the Garifuna language and Tafina to take us out, live and love every moment of your life. And be grateful for each new day. Cherish your family and friends. Bless others. Keep the faith. Never lose hope. And remember, prayer changes things regardless of what religion you belong to. You must pray. Continue to pray. See you and make sure that you stay safe.
You lead us so full. You belong far away away. Ajugwala lebobu seru. Lida mua, lida sungfula. Lida mua, lida sungfula.
Well, unfortunately, this is it. Till next time. Bless.
All you gotta do is just speak. One word is enough, and I'm no longer so rough. I forget what I was trying to say. I no longer do what I was gonna do, but you're no good for me. That's why me know set me if it could flee. Me I fi take away me say. Me I fi take away me say. Me I fi hide like a thief in the night. Me I fi get out of sight. Me I fi take away me say. I fi take away me say. I fi utilize I weeds. Shorty I cleave your eyes.
Well, unfortunately, this is it. Till next time. Bless.
I find you very hard to resist. With this relationship I'm gonna desist. But how can I face you when all I wanna do is just taste you? I know you think I play me, but soon you're gonna see the light of day. Just relax, don't move an inch. I'll be gone in a pinch. May I feel take away me self. May I feel take away me self. May I feel hide like a thief in the night. May I feel get out of sight. May I feel take away me self.
Unfortunately, this is it. Till next time. Bless. Well, unfortunately, this is it. Till next time. Bless.